Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new webinar of Fleet Europe. The topic of today is the electronic horizon, what's next in fleet telematics. First of all, I would like to underline that this webinar and the information given is for information purposes only. And so we hope that you can enjoy really a pleasant and an informative webinar. My name is Steven Schoofs. I'm the Chief Editor of Fleet Europe, magazine and media and international vehicle fleet and mobility management, and I will be the moderator of today. What's next in fleet telematics? Fleet telematics is, of course, a big business. It's also still a quite, let's say, unknown business, and some companies still have some doubts about, let's say, if telematics is applicable for their company, for their fleet. But we see that with the evolution in technology, the evolution in telematics itself, that there is more and more efficiency that can be created. And so we believe that it's really interesting to take a look forward and to see together with here what is possible in terms of fleet management and telematics. And so today it's not me who is going to detail what the future of telematics will look like, but we can count on the expertise of Mr. Nick Kelter. He is Director Product Management at HERE Location Suite, and he is going to detail what HERE does in terms of fleet telematics, but also how you can grasp the advantages of telematics today and in the future. So, Nick, I hope that you can hear me and that you are ready for an interesting webinar.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I can hear you loud and clear. I hope that's true for you and the audience as well. Welcome, everybody. My name is Nick Kelter, and within HERE Technologies, I'm accountable for what we call the HERE Location Suite, so focusing on all of our location services that enable our fleet telematics offering around the world. So over the next couple of minutes, I will provide you an overview of our view of the fleet management use cases and how they can be probably applied to different industries, and also try to give some insights into the value of instant feedback while vehicles are on the road, what's on the horizon with regards to real-time information, so really talking about the electronic horizon notifications. Then I also want to talk a little bit about best practices that we are applying with regards to driver behavior analysis, and then also provide an outlook that is particularly focusing on the transport logistics industry when we talk about platooning and what it really means for the people behind the wheel. Let's first and foremost look into some of those challenges that we see in fleet management, and I'm sure those will be also already very familiar with you. First of all, in fleet management, you typically have to meet very strict service level agreements with your customers. You have to watch out for the driver hours of services. You need to provide better customer service, informing customers about the arrival of a car, of a good. To achieve that, you have to optimize the routes, and route optimization can have lots of different attributes. Multiple stops is only one of those, but it's a critical one. Others can then also go into more dynamic things like traffic or weather. At the same time, you have to balance the operational cost, and you have to better utilize the assets that are on the road. When you have a vehicle, when you have a light commercial vehicle, or if you have a long-haul truck, I mean, the better it is utilized, the better the operational costs are. And then, of course, the drivers, often forgotten, and particularly in fleet management, very often forgotten. Also, they need to be part of the whole package. because also they have needs, be it in terms of navigation, be it in terms of communication with the back office or the dispatchers. And we all know the challenges to keep and also to win new drivers. There's a huge driver shortage in Europe already nowadays. And the better we can integrate and serve them into the solution, the more likely it is that they will stay with us, and the few talent that is out on the street can be probably also attracted with that. And then, of course, last but not least, there's also real-time input and feedback when you are tracking your vehicle while it is driving. And that helps you to either provide instant feedback to the driving behavior, or when you collect the routes that are driven, and you use that data then later for further analysis, then also for post-trip analysis, to better understand where vehicles have been driving and how the driving behavior has been in comparison to what has been posted on the road. But let's look into that and a little bit more, and start with the key phases that we see in fleet telematics or in fleet management today. First and foremost, there's the planning phase, where you plan the jobs that are ahead of you, be it on the same day or be it the next day or be it for the week. That is the starting point. But when you then go to the second phase, that is where all the magic needs to happen, the monitoring while on the move, because that is one of those phases where lots of things are changing, and where changing traffic, new orders, changing weather, you name it, they will change the original plan, and you have still to find the balance with the original plan. So here, the back office, the dispatcher plays the critical role, and we all know that lots of the planning depends on good tools, but also depends on the intuition and the experience of the dispatcher. And then again, you have the driver who needs a navigation tool that is ideally also considering the specification of the vehicle. Because it's a difference if you drive a car, if you drive a scooter, if you drive a light commercial vehicle, or even a truck, which is then also connected to the dispatcher, and ideally in a two-way communications connected, so that also the dispatcher knows if there are changes while the vehicle is on the road, that those are automatically sent back. And then the fourth phase, when you take a look at the analysis, the back office who wants to better understand the trips that have been taken, have the trips been taken like they have been originally being planned, what has changed to this original plan, and then do the analysis for driving behavior to really understand how the driver really drove. Was he also adhering to the legal regulations? And use that information also for cost analysis purposes and for future planning. When we now go over the next couple of slides into each of those phases, then let's get started with the planning. What we have realized is that the planning phase is there to set obviously up all the routes for all the vehicles and transport that you as a fleet management service provider have under management. And very critical for that is custom owned or custom sensitive data that you also want to use in your application. That you do not want to share with others, but that you want to use with your services, and those can basically also be custom addresses primarily. Can also be polygons that you want to use to set up certain notification services based on geofencing. This data has to be enhanced with the precise destination address data. You need to consider also traffic. In the planning phase, as we see it, it's more about historical traffic, So to really understand how the situation is on a typical Wednesday afternoon, and use that as input for the planning. Could also be real time if you are more in a kind of on-demand business, that you really, when you are planning and you're executing the plan right afterwards, really have the understanding of the real-time traffic situation. And the same is true for weather. That can have an influence there. And then the real magic comes with the routing algorithms, considering all of this information, adding additional attributes. If you think about trucks, trucks take different routes than cars, or like commercial vehicles, road conditions, the routing sequence, if you have multiple stops, toll might be considered to really improve the corresponding experience. And to ensure a maximum on safety for the drivers, and probably also the goods and the freight that they are carrying, or the people that they are carrying, vehicle monitoring is extremely critical. And that you can combine, for example, with geofences along the route, or with geofences along certain areas where the vehicle should not drive. So that you also integrate that into the application, so that the driver and the dispatcher have there also the way to communicate, and the dispatcher in particular is then also aware of what's happening on the road and can support that accordingly. As we said, the real magic happens when the vehicles are all out there in the field. And we all know that a plan is only as good as the data that you have available when you prepare the plan. And as I said, when the vehicle's out, situations typically change. And particularly when you think about fleet telematics, and depending on the industry and the use case you are operating in, this data is highly dynamic, and the parameters there change constantly. As I said, most often it's traffic that hinders you to keep your schedule. Can be bad weather conditions, and then additional orders that you either have to pick up, or that you have to deliver at a different time suddenly, or you have to pick up someone. All of that changes the existing plan, and routes have to be permanently monitored. And tours of individual vehicles, they have to be replanned. You had planned out the 15 stops perfectly, be it in a last mile delivery scenario, for example, and then the driving and the driver has to be influenced accordingly. And at the same time, you should not jeopardize the originally set delivery times, which is sometimes really then the art to make the plan then still work, but at the same time also ensuring that the driver is not speeding or doing other things that put him at risk, so that he also continues adhering to the corresponding rules. So sending updated information from the back office to the driver and receiving later estimated times of arrival back are critical to optimize this whole process in fleet telematics. And then when you're on the move, and we were talking about that in the beginning, the driver. In this perfect digitalized fleet telematics world, we would also provide our drivers with a highly automated integration between him and the dispatcher or the back office, and really providing the driver an easy to use application running on a mobile device, and providing him access to connected navigation services that help him to more easily execute the job while he is in the vehicle. And at the same time, and that's the critical thing, also having this feedback channel back to the back office and the dispatcher, informing them if the estimated time of arrival for a certain delivery will change, so that also then the back office is able to initiate corresponding actions. For example, informing then the customer that the vehicle will come later, or will probably even come earlier, depending on how things develop on the road. When we take a closer look now also into the real-time driver safety, and to ensure the highest driver safety, we know that first and foremost, accurate location of the vehicle is needed. And then you need to add real-time information, or what we also call then the electronic horizon services, enabling anticipatory attributes for the road ahead, beyond where the driver and the vehicle can actually see with their eyes or their sensor. So this can be several hundred meters or even kilometers ahead. And those attributes that you can then also proactively provide to ensure a better driver security, cover the most probable roads that are ahead from any given position that the driver is taking, the traffic signs that are ahead already, curvature geometry might be very interesting, depending on what you have in the back of your vehicle or your light commercial vehicle or your truck. Height and slope information, or the lane information, so that you can already plan very well in advance when you are on the vehicle, when you have to take the next exit or the next turn. And geofencing, of course, can also serve to increase a driver safety. If in planning you have set certain geofences either along the road or, for example, when you are entering areas that are probably not safe at a certain time of the day, then also geofencing helps there a lot to alert the driver and give him additional information when he's on the road. And then, of course, the classical telematics services like the emergency breakdown, whereby a press of a button, you're connected to someone who can help you, or breakdown, or if you have a roadside assistance a service that you want to have quickly, just by providing the corresponding location so that you can be also as a driver quickly be helped. When we take a look then at the last phase of the fleet telematics circle as we see it, the analysis part, here it is everything about the collected data while I have been driving my different trips, and comparing the observed driving behavior to the underlying road network and usage regulation, and also considering the multiple post-road features and attributes. Because if you do compare the GPS traces with what is then posted actually on the road, that enables you then to do really detailed driver scoring and driver behavior analysis, because then you see if your driver is a hell of a driver, if he drives fast, if he goes quickly through curvatures, and so on and so forth. And of course, when you have the GPS traces, and when drivers probably also have to do an expense report because they are using roads where they have to pay toll, then also you can compare that based on the collected data. You can compare if the road that he has taken has really cost the toll that he's expensing. Going there also a little bit deeper into the driving behavior and analysis, and the services that we see there, and the needs that we see there. It's really about computing based on the collected GPS probes the most probable routes that have been traveled, and detecting probable illegal maneuvers like speeding curves, or leaving predefined routes or areas. Can even be countries. I mean, you can also say that a country or a city area is the corresponding polygon that you want to upload for geocoding to really get the best understanding on where the vehicle actually has been driver. And all of that information that you have posted in the map, compared with the real-time data that has been collected, enables you then to do the driving behavior analysis and use that information to also educate driver about their behavior, so that going forward they become better in that. So when we take then a look again on the 4 phases, and that is where for us at Here Technologies the future has already begun. You see all the majority of the services that enable or address those customer use cases that I was just trying to explain on a very high level in this short time are already available, be it to plan, or be it then when the vehicles are really out on the streets, helping and replanning them, keeping them on schedule. Focusing also on the driver as an essential element in this whole game, and then of course the analysis part to in particular also understand driving behavior and educate drivers on how they can be more efficient and drive more safely. When we take a look at the value that we are able to provide, I mean, those services are not only designed to enable classical fleet management use cases, they're actually designed to enable multiple highly complex use cases. Fleet management, transportation management, closely connected with on-demand solutions, but also think about mobile workforce management solutions. As soon as you have to manage assets that are out on the streets, be it vehicles, be it persons, looking also at usage-based insurance, when you think about the analysis part, those are all telematics use cases in a broader sense that we are able to address only by those 4 phases, because all of them have one thing in common. It's about planning, it's about managing when they are on the roof, on the route. There are mobile devices typically engaged when you want to communicate with a backend, and also on the mobile device you need to have different navigation services and ideally a 2-way communication, so that the back office and the driver or the people that is out in the field is always perfectly connected. And all of those services help then also to address the key challenges that you saw in the beginning of our presentation, and spending then the business benefits, such as the improved time on delivery when you apply them correct, or helping to increase the utilization of the asset that is on the road, reducing the transport spend when applied correctly. And then last but not least, really also having the driver in mind and having the safety of the driver and the goods or the people that they are carrying in mind. All of that is actually already available with the tool sets provided by Here Technologies today. And one of the big things that we are currently looking at, and that is really more focusing on fleet management use cases in the transport and logistics industry. When you talk about the long haul trucks, it's about platooning. Platooning is first of all a technology that digitally connects trucks, where the first truck is in the control of the action, and the second, third and fourth truck, or however many trucks you want to digitally connect, are just following exactly on what the first truck is doing. And also there, amongst the key benefits that are available today, like fuel saving and CO2 reduction, the reduced idle time and so on, we believe that platooning also has the potential to increase safety for the industry, for the drivers, because there you're starting to eliminate human errors that are typically causing the accidents. As well as we also know about and discussed early on, addressing this driver shortage one day, if the regulation allows that in the second, third and fourth truck you probably don't have to have a driver anymore. Future thinking, definitely, but that is something that we believe is a technology and is a service that will come. And while the whole industry is talking about automated and highly automated driving, even completely ignoring the driver, and of course in here technologies we also believe in that, but as an interim step, in particular when you look at the transport logistics industry, we believe that platooning will be one of the first steps that we will see when it comes to automated vehicles on the road. We know it's still a way. Legal and regulatory issues have still be to addressed before we see platooning really commercially on the road. But as said, we see that as the first true step towards highly automated driving. And when you look also at the statistics, when in particular on highways, when you see that more than 90% of all traffic incidents where trucks are involved are due to human errors, we believe that with truck platooning, where the vehicles are digitally connected, driving, of course, a short distance behind each other, and where only the first truck is really in control, you can really help, and platooning has the potential to significantly reduce the number of accidents and really add the safety also here to the roads. That brings me actually to the end of our presentation today. And I just wanted to briefly summarize how we believe we really add value to you and to the fleet telematics and fleet management use cases. We have an exciting location services offering today that is differentiating and supporting multiple use cases across various industries, be it in automotive, where you have the classical vehicle telematics services, be it in transport logistics, when you look at on-demand taxi, e-hailing, car sharing use cases, when you look at the classical long-haul use cases, be it in telecommunications or media or retail, where you have fleets and people that are out there that need to be managed. You can apply those services accordingly. Everything is built on where we are originally coming from, on the map. A map with rich attributes is the basis of every successful location services that you build on top of it. And we're providing you with all the flexibility that you want to use those services for. And we also hope that we have been able to provide you an interesting overview about the challenges and how we believe we are able to address jointly with you those challenges in fleet management, and how our capabilities are designed to enable those complex fleet management use cases, generating instant feedback that you either can use for better planning, but also to improve the safety on the road and the safety of your drivers. And hopefully you also got a little bit of an insight with some of the best practices that we are using when it comes to driving behavior analysis. And this is hopefully inspiring for you to then also think about how you can digitalize the fleet management process in your business. As I said, this is while we are constantly looking also into the future, this is already available today, and we hope that you found that interesting, and thank you for joining us. And with that, I would hand it back to Stephen.
Thank you very much, Nick Kelter. Thank you for the inspiring presentation about fleet telematics. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the final part of this webinar. You can ask a question to Mr. Nick Kelter by using the chat function in your webinar tool. So there is a little question box where you can drop your question, and then we will ask that question to Mr. Nick Kelter. So if you have a question, it's time now to ask it. Nick, thank you very much again. Let me start with the first question. A straightforward question for you, Nick. Can you tell us a little bit more about the return on investment of fleet telematics?
Well, as I mean, when you see, in particular, when the vehicles are on the route, and you need to do a replanning, that is where you also need to optimize. Particularly when you look at the long haul business, where typically only 40% of the load is actually fixed, and 60% of the load comes in really last minute. And this is where you need to optimize and make sure that you are able to optimize the individual assets, and that's where you can win or where you can lose the money.
Okay.
And the better tools you have, and the more digital that is, the easier this magic can be done. Of course, there's also lots of intuition, as mentioned earlier on. But I mean, the services and the tools are so intelligent today that this is where you can really build on the return on invest.
Okay. You talked during the presentation about 4 key phases in fleet management. You talked about the planner, the dispatcher, the driver, and the back office. Where do you see that companies are struggling the most? During what phase?
I think it's in the second phase, really doing the constant replanning. Because as I said, a plan is easy to make, but the parameters that are influencing such a place, like for example new orders that are coming in last minute, like for example traffic information that are changing, or weather conditions that are changing and influencing then the speed that I can drive with. Those are the things that hinder us to really make our committed time windows of delivery, and that's where you need to optimize. So I think that is the most critical phase here.
And do you have a tip for the attendees or the participants in the room to make that phase a little bit more easy and efficient?
I mean, I could easily say use our tools to build your respective applications, but I think that would be a little bit too easy. No, I mean, as I said, the most critical thing for each of our participants is really to understand where they are in that business today and where they are in terms of their digitalization today. I mean, if you think about adding tools for the planning phase, then those are basically the same tools that you then will also use to do the replanning. So there you already have a quite big coverage of both use cases. And as I said, it all starts with the individual use case and the individual problems our participants today are facing in their respective business, in their respective industry, and that's where we should start.
Okay. How do the telematic solutions that you have been discussing and that you have been presenting, and that also, let's say, the services and solutions that your company here is offering, how do those solutions integrate, let's say, to back-end business systems, like, for example, accounting and others? Is that, let's say, a seamless thing to do, or is it, let's say, some kind of complex?
The answer is actually not that easy, but typically it's complex. If there are existing back office systems already existing, of course you can use our application programming interfaces to integrate them with your solution. But as I said, there is integration work required. It doesn't happen as an easy to use plugin. We are working, this being said, we are working with some of the major ERM system providers that also have telematics or fleet management modules, and there the integration is already happening in the background. So when you have such a system and you want to use mapping and routing capabilities, in some of those we are already integrated as the location service provider. But typically an integration is required. It doesn't happen automatically.
Okay. In the presentation that you just gave, we saw 2 or 3 times, I think, the picture of a truck. How does the technology and the services that you have presented, but also, let's say, the vision that you have around fleet telematics, how does this translate to light commercial vehicles and passenger cars? Or is that, in your opinion, a complete other field of play?
No, I mean the routing requirements are similar, and they are not. The services that we are enabling are really focusing on the specification of the vehicle. I mean, the route planning challenge is there if you have it for a bicycle, if you have it for an electric scooter, if you have it for a car, if you have it for a light commercial vehicle, or if you have it for a truck. What you need to consider are the specifications of the vehicle. Because a scooter can take a different route than, for example, a car can use, and that is what you need to consider. The same is true for a bicycle. A bicycle, when you have a fleet of bicycles in an inner city use case, you can route them much differently than a scooter and a car. And the same is then again true for a light commercial vehicle that is probably not allowed to take all the routes that a car is allowed to use. And then last but not least, where then the highest, another magic is coming in, also considering then all the truck attributes and making sure that the truck is only driving there where a truck can really drive. So it is the routing challenge is for all the same, but it depends then on the corresponding routing mode and depending for what kind of vehicle you want to optimize the route. And that is where we are offering the corresponding flexibility.
Okay, very good. Nick, I believe that you are based in Germany. Now, I think if there's one country in Europe where when it comes, let's say, to data privacy, they are quite strict, reluctant, then it's Germany. When we talk about telematics, when we talk about data management, of course, this comes with the issue or the opportunity of data privacy. What is your answer to those companies that might question, let's say, the possibility to include solutions in fleet telematics due to data privacy issues?
I mean, data privacy is the most important thing that we need to adhere with regards to all of our services that we are providing. And I'm sure all of our participants here think here the same. And that's why we have also designed our services in such a way that our customers are always able and in full control of their data. I was talking about this custom-owned data or sensitive data, where we are also providing then those tools that customers can use, that they are in full control of their data. And we are then, from our side, fully compliant with the data privacy regulations and adhere here to the rules.
Okay. In what way is, let's say, the rising last mile issue an obstacle or not for the development and, let's say, the commercialization of your solutions? Because we see that more and more cities, for example, are putting in place some kind of legislation that can perhaps annoy a little bit traffic and mobility. Do you think that everything that has to do with fleet telematics, with the things that you have presented, match very well with the trends that we see in last mile? Or do you think that there is still some work to do before that we can also use that technology for those last mile purposes?
No, I think this is already being addressed today. I mean, when you see that more and more cities are starting to exclude fuel engines out of their inner parts of the city, then you need to define and use routing algorithms that can consider then also the electric driven vehicles, be it cars, be it those small vans that are already available, or be it then also electric scooters. That then when you do the routing and the planning, that they also consider the battery charge, so that you have that also as an input parameter for particular last mile calculations. And that is something that we are also focusing on, and where we are even going a step further. Not only that we provide prospects and customers our application programming interfaces to develop the solutions themselves, as here we are also working on a complete solution that provides then the corresponding tool for the dispatcher, as well as then the mobile application, perfectly in sync to particularly address the last mile use cases. Also considering then future mobility concept like e-vehicles.
Okay, 2 more questions. The first one is related also to data. In your opinion, who owns the data?
That's a very good question. I mean, the data is owned by the person that is generating the data. So in a private environment, it's really the individual person. When you look at the commercial area, it is the company, but of course the company also needs to adhere to the data privacy for the individual. So if you apply such an implementation with your company and with your drivers, then of course you need to make sure that your drivers also understand, if you collect their GPS probes, that they approve that and that they give their consent. Only then you are perfectly compliant with the corresponding regulation.
Okay. The final question is related to the geographic scope. You are based in Germany. Here is a global international organization. In what way is it easy for you to bring your services to multinational companies across different continents in the world?
Our location services are available globally. So from that point of view, it doesn't matter where I'm sitting or where our organization is sitting. Our services are deployed in multiple data centers across the world to ensure global coverage, and also to ensure the corresponding scalability for our customers. So no matter where they are operating in the world, that we can serve them with the corresponding services. Of course, sometimes you also need to see in individual countries if all the content that is required is also available in that specific country to enable the service. But as also our content is globally available, we have there a very good coverage to go really international with our customers.
Okay. Nick Kelter, thank you very much. Thank you for your expertise and sharing the information today in our webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this Fleet Europe webinar with the support of HERE Technologies. I would like to thank you for attending, and also HERE for supporting us. You can see that we have a recording of this webinar that we will communicate through our website, fleeteurope.com. And we also would like already to invite you, and that you can mark your calendar for the upcoming webinar that we will organize with HERE. I can't reveal the exact topic yet, but it will be in the field of mobility and last mile. So should you be interested, then please write down in your calendar 25 June 2019, probably again in the early afternoon. We will have an upcoming webinar together with here. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day and hope to meet you on another occasion. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.